Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we have some exciting updates for The Mandalorian Season 3, Emily Swallow's teased the importance of the backstory of the Armourer, and we're also going to talk about Emilia Clarke, who might be involved in a future season as Qi'ra. Now before we dive into it my dear friends, I'm pleased to announce that on June 9th, I'll be having a conversation with the lovely folks over at Wikipedia. As you guys know, they are the core databank for all things Star Wars and the wiki of this franchise. And just like all my interviews and live streams, that will be available exclusively to my patrons and channel members. So consider joining the Mandalorian ranks by clicking the link down there in the description. But with all of that out of the way, let's go on with the news. So as I said my dear friends, we begin with Emily Swallow. In an exclusive interview with Screen Rant, she talks about how the Armourer is going to have a larger role in the upcoming third season of Mando. Now we still have so many questions about her character, notably her identity and backstory, but even Emily doesn't know the bulk of it. She says that Filoni and Favreau keep it from her. But what they do reveal is that she does have a name, although it's not been disclosed to anyone at this point. From what I've heard, the Armourer is a new character, and not a character that fans have theorized about. As you guys know, there's a lot of fan theories out there, and the most popular is that she's Rook Cast, the more loyalist who led the Shadow Collective Super Commandos during the Clone Wars, but I think Favreau's gone the new character route in spite of the two characters having so many similarities. But who knows, the character might be a familiar one. So let's dive into this interview. After teasing the return of the character last year and then appearing in the Book of Boba Fett, we finally got confirmation that Emily Swallow is returning in The Mandalorian's third season. Shortly after she participated in the Mando Plus panel at Celebration, where a third season trailer was shown, Swallow was interviewed for Screen Rant. The actress first confessed that for the Armourer, she doesn't really spend a lot of time thinking about the character's backstory when preparing for the role. In her own words, she said the following: "John and Dave tell me remarkably little, which I do appreciate. They leave it up to me. You know, I usually do come up with a pretty detailed backstory for characters, but I haven't with her, and I think part of that is that it changes a lot for her. It changes depending on the needs of the moment she's having, because she's such an archetypal figure. She represents so many ideas, she represents this larger influence in Din Djarin's life, so I find it is helpful to not attach super specific personal things to her. I do that for more personal moments, I do that for more personal interactions she has with him. I do sort of attach things that I can connect to, that I find could help with particular scenes, but I find it's constantly shifting depending on what new information they give me for what's going to happen in an episode. And I say, well, maybe it's more helpful if this is where she's coming from, or maybe this happened to her in her past, so I haven't pinned her down, and I like that about her." And then she goes on to confirm that the Armourer is going to have a bigger presence in Season 3. When asked about it, she says she will, yes, so maybe we'll learn more, or maybe she'll remain a mystery. Her importance and larger presence going forward was already teased in the Book of Boba Fett, which reintroduced the character into Din's life. Many things have happened since the two of them last saw each other, and we last saw her expelling Din from the tribe, the Children of the Watch, because he admitted he removed his helmet. In Season 3, as we know from the footage shown at Celebration, he's going to go to Mandalore to atone for his sins. He must look for the living waters beneath the mines of Mandalore. Season 3 releases in February of next year, and with Bo-Katan set to play an antagonistic figure as we saw in the teaser, the relationship between the various Mandalorian players in Din Djarin's story is going to be really interesting, making Star Wars revealed in a recent leak that the Armourer is going to meet Bo-Katan, and despite initial differences, the two are going to have to work together by the end of Season 3, but many fans are desperate to learn more about Emily's character. It's all well and good having her in the story, but given what Emily said about the character's identity and backstory, we're fascinated by who could be under that helmet. As I said from this interview with Screen Rant, as well as others she's given in the past, it sounds as though the Armourer is not a character we've met yet in the Star Wars universe. As fans, we love to ascribe existing characters to new roles, but we've been proven wrong so many times in the past. All we know is that the Armourer is the keeper of Mandalorian tradition, lore, and culture in the tribe, and she was also probably a more loyalist during the Clone Wars. Her influence on Din going forward is going to be really interesting because she's one of the people who's kept him in the dark. She's kept him in this bubble of the strictest version of the Mandalorian religion, the Way. It's certainly going to benefit him to meet other Mandos with less strict views. This did happen in Season 2 with Bo, but as we know, there are going to be other surviving Mandalorians coming into Season 3, and Natasha Liu Bordizzo, who's playing Sabine in the Ahsoka show, has also teased she might appear in both The Mandalorian Season 3 and that show. Really exciting stuff, and I love Emily Swallow. She is brilliant in that role, but I do hope eventually, whether it's in Season 3 or 4, we do learn who is beneath that armour. And so now, my dear friends, let's talk about Emilia Clarke and Qi'ra. And I know what you're thinking, not again. We spoke about her in depth leading up to the Book of Boba Fett, because there were so many fan theories out there that Qi'ra was going to be the big bad in the Book of Boba. And even though her story is being explored in the comics, there is now a chance she's going to appear in the Mandalorian universe. In a new interview with Screen Rant at Star Wars Celebration, writer Jon Kasdan on Solo: A Star Wars Story spoke confidently about the chance of seeing Qi'ra in an upcoming project. In his own words, he says, "I think we are. I think someday we're going to see what happened and how Qi'ra sort of advanced through the world, through the crime syndicates." Kasdan also noted that he's discussed Qi'ra's story with the Mandalorian creator Jon Favreau, who himself admitted he's a big fan of Solo. He says, "I've talked to Jon Favreau about it, and he's a big fan of Solo and some of the stuff we built out. And I said, well, you're the guy to figure it out. I always looked to him to keep the story alive and keep it going." He went on to say, "Star Wars is going in so many fun directions, and specifically, I saw that trailer for Andor today, and I thought, well, Enfys Nest is going to show up somewhere in that show, so I'm hopeful that a lot of those people continue the journeys they were on." Now, it seems very clear that Lucasfilm has a plan for Qi'ra. She's pivotal in the Marvel comics at the moment, set after The Empire Strikes Back, and even though in those comics it's been teased that the story of Crimson Dawn ends in tragedy, as Jon Kasdan says, it's not the only crime syndicate she was a part of, and it's very possible she created a new syndicate out of the remnants of that one. And when it comes to the characters from Solo, regardless of what you thought of the movie, there is a lot of story potential with some of them. Qi'ra, in particular in the comics, is a force to be reckoned with. She combines strategy with manipulation and charm to get her way, and if she appears in The Mandalorian, by then she'll be even more accomplished and experienced. Not to mention her combat skills, having been the literal novice of Maul. And it sounds like this could be very likely, given the fact Favreau is a fan of Solo: A Star Wars Story. With Jon Kasdan planting that idea in his brain, Qi'ra might appear in a future season. Let's wait and see. And so finally, my dear friends, Joby Harold has addressed the Grand Inquisitor situation. Now, Making Star Wars said the other day that the Grand Inquisitor is still alive, there is no Rebels retcon, and there's not going to be a different Grand Inquisitor for Star Wars Rebels. It's the same character and he's still alive. And this has now been reiterated by Joby Harold, the writer on Obi-Wan Kenobi. In a new interview, he was specifically asked, Reva drove her lightsaber through the Grand Inquisitor at the end of episode 2. Doesn't that go against canon? Well, all Harold would say on the matter is, they would never break canon. He says, that's all I'll say, canon is everything. And what the show is trying to do is have its cake and eat it too. Reva was cut off by Vader the moment she was going to reveal the fate of the Grand Inquisitor. Casual fans will be assuming he's dead, so when he returns at the end, it'll be a surprise to them. But diehards who saw Star Wars Rebels know he's still alive, but it's going to be just as impactful when he does return. And Vader promising Reva the position of Grand Inquisitor is just him being manipulative and leading her on so she'll work harder for him. He knows jolly well the Grand Inquisitor is fine, and now we do too. So no retcons, let's just be patient. They're telling the story a certain way, and I can't wait for episode 4. We're just 3 days away now, guys, and as always, I will be doing my full episode breakdown. And with that said, that brings us to the end of this Star Wars news update. If you enjoyed it, guys, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and also, as I said, if you want more videos not found here on YouTube, then click the link down below. But until the next one, guys, may the Force be with you always. I'm Star Wars Meg. Have a good one.